President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia secures another pillar of his economic policy, investment in the U.S. Here to talk about some of the highlights of Trump's meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince are Chet. He's a Republican strategist and founding partner at Cornerstone Group. We also have on Lee Neves, who's a Democratic strategist and president of Cross Currents. Chet and Lee, thank you so much for joining us on Capitol Report tonight. President Trump met with the Saudi Crown Prince in the Middle East today, covering a broad range of topics from economic partnerships to defense and energy. Chet, we'll start with you. What were your biggest takeaways from what came out of those meetings?
First of all, I think it's exciting that, again, President Trump is bringing home another big win for America, with the Saudis agreeing to make substantial investments in the United States in terms of what could possibly be significant investments in things like renewable energy projects. You see the Saudis have made tons of investments in projects like traditional oil and gas, but you also have seen them make major commitments domestically in terms of renewable projects. And I think that we'll probably see them making some investments here in the United States as well.
Lee, we know there was a $142 billion military arms deal that the White House announced, as well as a $600 billion investment in Saudi. So I just want to ask you, Lee, what do you make of the effort to strengthen ties with Saudi Arabia and of Trump making his first major foreign visit in his second term?
Yeah, I'm shocked there also wasn't a $400 million plane like he got from Qatar, apparently. And mind you, Qatar is also the nation that it is shown bribed their way to hosting the World Cup back in 2022. So I'm not sure those are people we want to be doing business with. Also of point in his trip to Saudi Arabia is that President Trump went out and slammed what he called Western interventionalists, complaining about doing business with the country and how they treat human rights. And we're talking about how they treat human rights for women. God forbid that we want to deal with countries that allow women to, I don't know, go out in public by themselves or maybe drive a car by themselves. God forbid. We want countries to allow those basic human rights for women. And here is Trump blasting countries for wanting Saudi Arabia to do that. Saudi Arabia here is trying to do what they've been trying to do for years, which is greenwash, sports wash, you name it, their human rights record by dealing economically with the West and hoping money covers their sins.
Now, let's for a moment, guys, talk about the Abraham Accords. So this is something that I've seen that there's bipartisanship over, at least here on Capitol Hill, where we're based. President Trump spoke earlier about the Saudi-U.S. investment at the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum, where he highlighted his work on the Abraham Accords. Let's together listen to a clip of what the president had to say. I want to get reactions from both of you.
It's been an amazing thing, the Abraham Accords, and it's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but we'll soon be joining the Abraham Accords. I think it'll be a tremendous tribute to your country, and it will be something that's really going to be very important for the future of the Middle East.
Chet, why is the Abraham Accords so significant for Trump's Middle East policy? Do you think Trump will be able to build on these policies?
Absolutely. I think President Trump has done a fantastic job with his track record over his last administration in terms of keeping us out of major foreign wars. And we've seen the Biden administration that failed to do that. And so, again, we're on the precipice of a very significant conflict in the Middle East with what's going on. And so what you see is Donald Trump taking the lead. Even some of the disagreements that we've seen between him and President Netanyahu about how to handle the aggression that's gone on in the region, I think has been really pointed, and we should really pay attention to that.
Lee, what's your thoughts?
If we are going to bring Saudi Arabia along in any respect, the Abraham Accords, economically, peace in the Middle East, it can't be all one-sided. And right now, what you're seeing here, it's all very one-sided. Saudi Arabia gets to invest whatever they want. They can basically use their money to paper over anything and forget about their history, their long track record of ignoring human rights. If Saudi Arabia wants to be a world partner, if they want to be a partner in peace, if they want to be a world partner economically, they need to meet us in the middle. They need to allow some of these basic, like I just said, basic human rights for women. We're talking about allowing women to go to university, allowing women to drive cars, allowing women to be in public by themselves. They need to meet the rest, not just the rest of the West. the rest of the world. They need to meet the rest of the world where the rest of the world is at with just basic human rights.
So we know the U.S. annual inflation rate has dropped to its lowest level in over 4 years, down to 2.3% in April. That's from 2.4% in March. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Lee, let's start with you. Inflation is cooling, but do you think voters will give the administration credit, or are people still feeling the pinch?
It's like that part of the tsunami where the water recedes and everyone thinks they're safe, and then 10 seconds later, you get a 40-foot wave crashing. That's what's going to happen here. You have all the economists saying that inflation is going to increase in June, in July, in August, over the summer. That's when we're really going to get hit with inflation from all of the tariffs that Trump has placed on all these nations. Inflation may have decreased, but consumer prices actually rose in April. And you have Procter & Gamble, the people who give us toothpaste and toilet paper, saying that their prices are going to significantly increase in July. And that's when you're going to see inflation really increase, mainly due to Donald Trump's tariffs.
Chet, Lee mentioned tariffs. I want to ask you about that. So anything you have to say about what he just said, but also, do you think that we should be more cautious about the potential impact of tariffs to come later? Or do you think that critics have overstated the possibility of it hitting home really hard?
I think the only thing that we've seen in this economy that's really bad right now is consumer sentiment, because you have so many people who've been going on the news, like my colleague Lee, saying that the sky is falling, when the reality is that inflation has been coming down, GDP has actually been growing. We have unemployment that's actually reached around 4%, which is the natural rate of unemployment in this country. So things are actually good. And it's just people keep being told that it's bad or that it's going to get worse that is pushing this narrative. I think what the reality is in terms of tariffs, the tariffs, as we've seen, are a negotiating tactic by President Trump. He's increased the tariffs with China. He's decreased the tariffs with China. He's put tariffs on other countries. He's paused the tariffs on other countries. Again, you have to let President Trump negotiate these better deals for America. We've been so bogged down in ideology by both the left and the right that we've been in a stalemate in terms of being able to get stuff done in this country. And so what Trump's doing is, yes, unorthodox, but at the end of the day, he's doing things that are bringing more investment and greater opportunities for the American people, which is what everybody should be excited about.
Some Democratic lawmakers are signaling support for President Trump's executive order to lower prescription drug prices. Lee, do you think there's enough bipartisan momentum to push this through both chambers quickly?
Everyone wants lower prescription drug prices, myself included. I am, just on a personal note, I received a liver transplant back in 2022, which means I will be taking several medications for the rest of my life. And let me tell you, those copays are not fun. So everyone definitely wants to see the lower drug prices. My concerns here are, A, where is the teeth in this executive order? You can't simply just say, please lower the drug prices. There needs to be some teeth. And my other concern is, where are drug prices going to be in 5, 10, 20 years from now? Because President Trump and this administration has been cutting funding to the universities that do the research that leads to new drugs, cheaper drugs, lower drugs. That's my fear. My fear is we need to be looking further down the road as well, along with right now. And that's something I think this administration has not been doing.
Chet, what are your thoughts on this? And I also want to ask you about the potential for lobbying efforts, of course. Do you think the pharmaceutical industry could put up a big fight to prevent this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pharmaceutical industry certainly had their way of things. And so they've, got us in the situation that we're in today. And I think President Trump is taking bold action, essentially in creating an opportunity where we can unleash Medicare to be able to negotiate drug prices. And that's essentially what he's asking for, is to be able to have the government agencies negotiate drug prices directly with the pharmaceutical industry, which you will see a significant drop in the price of drugs in this country. So again, it's yet to be seen, but I think it's a bold step by the president. And I think everyone should be excited about the opportunity of lower drug prices.
Chet, thank you so much. Lee, thanks for joining our show again. It's great to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.